Welcome, friends, to my channel and to my studio here in Carmel by the sea. I will be reading chapter 5 from my teachings of Yama. And if you like this, please press that like button and subscribe. I have lots of content, stories for both adults and for children and other wonderful things, at least in my opinion. Chapter 5. The secret language, the mind and breath and time, finding the silence in the madness, the danger of impatience. Beyond the mind? What lies beyond the mind? I tried to ponder such a state, but could not. Not knowing what else to say to Yama, or for that matter, what else to think, I just sat down and closed my eyes. I tried to go to that place beyond the mind, that place where Yama spoke of. Yet my mind screamed at me, shouting at me to look at the possibilities of tomorrow for which to make plans. And in an instant, it brought forward an old conversation I had recently with my boss and filled me with all manner of words I should have said instead of the stupid ones I did, and then flew to a bedroom where lay naked a girl I had had a crush on, and I saw myself. Then I heard my father's voice saying that no one knows the truth, so why listen to this one who calls himself Yama? Ignore his words. Live life. Don't fall for his lies. In a matter of seconds, this barrage of the mind occurred. I opened my eyes. My mind! It's like a room crowded with people all trying to get my attention. How to subdue it, teacher? How to go beyond it? Tell me the easiest method. The easiest way? Find one who sits in the self and stay in his presence as much as your deeds allow you to spend. Why should that help? If you place together a group of violins and draw a note across one, all the violins, if properly tuned, will also reverberate with that note. So it is with being with a master. The master or sage sees you as you are, for the sage is the self of all selves. All your life, friends and family and teachers and everyone else have helped form your definitions of yourself by seeing you in certain ways. Ways like being white, a male, such and such an age, poor, ugly or good-looking, fat or thin, stupid or smart, etc. Yet all these definitions are cages. The master holds the key of truth to free you. He may speak in words, and some of the words, like darts, may make it past the defenses of your mind and strike your heart. Yet most effective of all, if you are ready, is when the master speaks in the most secret language of all, the language the mind fears most. Yama stopped. I looked up and waited and waited. Well, I finally said, is what? Come, and I will show you. A man sat on a sort of divan, his head bare of hair. He wore only a loincloth. Around the man sat a group of people, some looking intently at him. Others had their eyes closed. The man said nothing, his eyes staring straight ahead in space, a benign smile lightly playing on his face. For a while we stood watching him, and the others in their silence. What are they doing? I whispered to Yama. He is instructing them about God and the self. All their questions he is answering. Dear Yama, you are very wise, I know, yet I hear nothing. There is only silence here, I said. Exactly, replied Yama as he sat down and closed his eyes. Do the same as the others. You might actually learn something. With eyes closed, I sat. The mind immediately sent forth a barrage of thoughts. However, something told me to watch the thoughts, let each one go, and not to follow any of them. become aware of the space between the thoughts. I watched my breath. The more I watched my breath and became aware of the space between thoughts, my breathing slowed, and with the slowing of my breath, my thoughts became fewer. And soon breath, thoughts, and time seemed to cease altogether. And perhaps a long while of bathing in this living silence, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I opened my eyes and saw Yama smiling down at me. "What peace," I heard myself mutter. Suddenly, as though I was standing next to a cannon, I heard a blast followed by another and another. These thunderous blasts that shook me to my very core were the horns of cars. I found myself standing on a street corner in the middle of a city, skyscrapers all around. Yama stood next to me, smiling and wearing a business suit, as was I. "Where are we? What happened to him in the silence?" I asked in despair. "He and the silence have gone nowhere, nor can they. Only you have appeared to have gone anywhere." "Will I see him again?" Ah, the eyes. How people rely on them so. Perhaps. If you mean seeing his body with which you are identifying him. Time and space does not confine the sage. Anyway, tell me what you learned from him. We sat down on a bench. Well, while no questions were spoken at all my questions disappeared. Only silence remained. That now familiar smile grew on Yama's face. "Silence," I said excitedly. "Silence is the answer. Silence is the language of the master." "Good. What else did you learn?" "I learned that by just watching my thoughts and not being led by them, they slowed down. The same with watching my breath, that there is a connection between breath and thought somehow. And time." Yama nodded his head. "Breath is the mind's food. When thoughts are few, little breath is needed. And in terms of time, all come onto this earth with the allotted number of breaths, the number of which I know to the very last. Those who are anxious about the world with their minds racing, or those who are panting in the throes of lust, or those whose chest heaves with the flames of anger, all of them quickly use up their allotted time. Now there are those who can stop their breath by utilizing ancient practices and live in their bodies for hundreds or even thousands of years until they breathe again." My eyes grew wide in amazement. 1,000 years is nothing to death. I always will be waiting. Such a trick is not the goal, for they wake up with the same desires, the same little self that went into the trance. "It is not good to have your breath stop then?" I said, confused. "If it happens naturally, it is best. Nothing needs to be forced." I thanked Yama for his teachings on breath. If one does not have the grace to sit at the feet of a master, what are the other methods to help one to come to that place of silence, to come to that place beyond your reach? I looked around me at the rushing to and fro of pedestrians, and upon the drivers gripping their steering wheels of their cars. And is it possible at all to find that silence amidst all this confusion? Your questions are worthy. Gesticulating towards our surroundings, Yama continued. It is possible to find peace amidst this clamoring, although it is far from easy. However, to truly find the eternal silence, it must be unconditional, and thus it must be found everywhere, even here. If there is but 1 inch of earth where you cannot find peace, 1 speck in all the worlds, whether in the highest heavens or the lowest of hells, you become shaken in your core, and I will grab you. If you have been graced to meet a master and she has instructed you in meditation, Follow the instructions unfailingly every day. Start the day with it, greeting the sunrise, established in silence, and again do so in the evening. If one has not that grace, it is effective and safe to do as you did, watching your breath and thoughts, becoming aware of the silence around them. I interrupted. What do you mean safe? Can meditation be dangerous? Nothing is dangerous to who you really are. However, there are dangers of delay to realization along the path for the seeker. There are more forceful breathing techniques and concentration exercises that, without a worthy teacher who is guiding each step of the way, can unleash forces from the subconscious that can wreak havoc in one's life. Delusions as well as great fears can overwhelm and overshadow one's life. A 30-watt bulb cannot take 100 watts without damage. So too, someone who is not prepared on all levels cannot take the power of the cosmic self without some short-circuiting. Look around you. See all these people rushing to the next sale, to pass the car ahead, to grab a quick meal. These are those who will fall into my traps when they begin to consciously tread the path to escape their suffering. They have no patience. All their desires demand to be gratified instantly. They will go to those who shout that their method is fastest. They will pay lots of money for the quick way. At worst, they will do some fast technique or do some mind-altering drug and blast their nervous system and become a useless member of society. At best, they might get a divine vision or two for their spiritual resumes. Most likely, however, they will go from teacher to teacher, method to method, continuing only to remain in my grasp. Like miners are these seekers, digging here and digging there, never having the patience to go deep enough to hit the mother lode. Some will stop in each shallow pit to pick up the shiniest stone and then pronounce to the world that they have found the truth. While others will find only dirt and gray stones in these shallow pits, and will, after a while, filled with despair and doubt, will drop their spades and will lie down in what is now a grave, and then live the rest of their lives scoffing at the other diggers. Revered teacher, I said, you have spoken of meditation as a way beyond you. Please name another way. Yama beckoned for me to follow. Thank you for listening, and have a great and blessed day.